This is The Great Expanse by John Bat 426 here on YouTube, and this is the recap with no cap. Which series are we recapping with no cap? Wonder Man. Yes, I had the nerve to sit down and watch this first episode. So I watched those teasers and I was like, nah. But I gotta say, this first episode, which is called Matinee, was better than A Night of the Seven Kingdoms first episode. So I figured, hey, if I could sit through that unbearable piece of trash called the first episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I can watch anything. And that was my rationale for watching this show. And to be honest, this show is better than that one. But it's funny that Wonder Man has been given the entire distribution treatment of, being binged all at once. Because it seems like Disney Plus has this thing with those series that are led by minorities or smaller characters, and they're letting you know they're not taking it that serious. They did it with Ironheart, they did it with Echo, now they're doing it with Wonder Man. Message, but I'm gonna leave that one alone. This one was called Matinee. We see that Simon Williams is an actor first. Okay, now when we saw him doing that, like, and all that, like, he was actually, that was a part of his process. And he had like a small minor role in this first project he was in, American Horror Stories. And he had a very small scene, and he's supposed to get his head bitten off by this monster. And he goes on all these details about a backstory and, but the psychology of the character. Shouldn't I address her? And then the one lady comes in and says, yeah, the showrunner thanks you for your time, but we're going to write you out of the story. That's it. Bye. So we can see that he puts way too much thought into his acting or whatever, like backstory and psychology. Like, you don't got to know all that to be an actor. Not that I know what being an actor is entailing, because I'm not an actor. I do voice acting, but that's it. So then we see he's sort of down in the dumps, and he runs into Trevor Slattery. Yes, from Iron Man 3 and from Shang-Chi. He's in this series. They're watching Midnight Cowboy, which is a real movie starring Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight from, I think, either the late 60s or the mid 70s. That's the movie with the iconic line, "Hey, I'm walking here!" That was Dustin Hoffman playing Ratso Rizzo. So they're watching it. Trevor Slattery is talking on his phone loudly, and Simon got up from where he is and said, "Hey, man, can you turn that down?" And I was thinking, nobody would ever do that in real life. If it's during the previews, I was like, okay, whatever. They just needed an excuse for these two people to talk. It was in the script. So then they watch the movie, they enjoy it. From the gate, I'm just going to be very honest, very frank. I could not stand Yaya's acting. And that was a common thread throughout this entire episode. I said, I can't stand him as an actor, which is sad. I mean, I saw him in Watchmen when he played Dr. Manhattan. I saw him in Aquaman when he played Black Manta, the first one. The second one was atrocious. I fell asleep on the movie because it's so bad. The second one. And I didn't really get a sense that he was a bad actor from those. But watching Wonder Man, he comes across as a bad actor until he starts, how do I say this? When he auditioned for Wonder Man, that was his best acting in the episode. When he was acting as if he was auditioning, if that makes sense, okay? Because he was acting within a show that he's acting in. Does that make sense? His audition was better than all of his acting in the entire episode. So Trevor Slattery tells him when they're in the movie theater watching Midnight Cowboy, which I alluded to earlier, that he's trying out for Wonder Man. So then Simon Williams has the brilliant idea to go talk to his agent, I guess, the large lady with the glasses, or whatever. And so basically she lets him know that, no. Trevor, I think, said that today was the last day for auditions. So she leaves and he goes into her computer. So she left her computer on, which I didn't think that grown adults did while he was in there. So he scrolls down. It says that it ends at 6 o'clock, the auditions. So he takes his crappy blue car, which reminded me of Beverly Hills Cop when the lady said to Axel Foley, I remember you drove that crappy blue Chevy Nova. She's like, what are you driving now? And Axel was like, same crappy blue Chevy Nova. That's what it reminded me of, because his car was trash. So he drives down to the audition. And again, that's when Yahya Abdul-Mateen II's best acting is, when he goes before the panel and he does his audition as to be Simon Williams. Now, Trevor was in there before him, and the people outside were like, oh, he's killing it in there. So then he has a little pep talk with Trevor before, and Trevor's like, I can't believe Trevor Slattery is still existing. I can't believe he's still in existence in the MCU. I can't believe it. But anyway, Simon Williams talk about, I got to get the backstory together and understand the psychology before that's not my process. And Trevor's like, yo, man, stop thinking and just go in and say the lines. That's it. He said something about blowing all of his air out. I think he said holding his breath. He says body will go into shock. And then, that'll bypass his frontal lobe or something. Some kind of thing he made up. So he goes in there and he just wings it. Simon Williams. And he does a great job. And you can tell the lady by the lady's expression that she really liked his audition. So it ends with Simon and Trevor going to a bar. Simon leaves. Trevor gets a phone call. And some dude with the most non-threatening and what's the word I'm looking for? Imposing voice says, have you made contact? With his nerdy voice. And Trevor's like, yes, alluding to Simon Williams. And the person on the phone says, well, we need him in custody because Simon Williams is super powered. So now we understand that Trevor Slattery is working for somebody, some mysterious individual that has not an imposing tone of his voice at all. And he lets the cat out of the bag that Simon Williams is a super powered individual. And that was the end of the episode. It was only like 30 minutes. And I gotta say, I was a little bit intrigued by the first episode. But Yahya Abdul-Mateen II's acting is abysmal. Abysmal. It sounds like he's putting on an American accent. I don't know where he's from really, or how he sounds in real life. But I was not impressed with him at all. At all. I cannot understate that. The lead was the worst part of this episode. Now, I'm just saying. Now, if you desire to watch Wonder Man just for superpower things, this is not the show for you. This is not the series for you. This first episode, we see that the things in his apartment start shaking. And I'm like, wait, there's no elevated train in Los Angeles. Or maybe there is one. So then I thought it was probably a subtle manifestation of his superpowers. Then it happens again, and you see like part of his iris change colors. And I go, oh, so this is how they're going to sneak it in. They're going to walk us. They're going to hold our hand and let us know he's eventually going to have this powerful manifestation of the ionic powers, because Simon Williams' Wonder Man is a very powerful character. One of the original Avengers, I believe, and he was essential to the West Coast Avengers. Okay, because the original Avengers are headquartered in New York. The West Coast Avengers, obviously on the West Coast, that's what I call the West Coast Avengers. But for this episode, C. Nothing to write home about, nothing special about it. But it's not terrible, though. All right, so C. Not C for crappy or C for corny, but just C. All right. If you dare watch this, like I said, if you dare watch this, I'll say this. Sir Ben Kingsley, who plays Trevor Slattery, is the best part of the episode so far. He's the best. The worst part, the lead, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. Again, I can't understate how bad he was in this, to me. All right? So, this is The Great Expanse by John Bat 426. The recap with no cap. Wonder Man, the series, is available on Disney Plus. Check it out.
I gotta be honest, I don't like Yahya's acting at all in this. At all. I don't like his voice. Oh, Destin Daniel Creton. He's the one that's going to be directing Spider-Man Brand New Day later this year. First episode of Wonder Man, it got a little bit of a charm to it. It doesn't really feel like a superhero show, but who cares? As a television show, it's all right. It's just that the problem to me is Yahya. I don't like him. I'm surprised that I'm saying that. I don't like his acting. Ben Kingsley, I actually think, is stealing the show here. I mean, Sir Ben Kingsley, who was one of the greatest actors in the history of movies. But yeah, this is a problem. This is a problem. Zlatko Buric. That's the guy that plays Von Kovac. And so far, we haven't really seen him. We just saw him in an interview on We Know Cinema or something like that. But again, C for this first episode. And we didn't get anywhere. All we know is that somebody thinks that Simon Williams is superpowered and he's dangerous. And that came at the very final scene of the first episode. So we see Trevor and Simon sort of develop a relationship as they both go into audition for this movie, Wonder Man. But obviously, Trevor Slattery has an ulterior motive. I think I'm going to give this episode 2. I think I'm going to go to episode 2. I'm not going to promise to watch the entire series, but it's 8 of these. I don't know if I can stay around for 8. But anyway, this is The Great Expanse by John Bat 426. I will see you next time.